news hour, coming to you live from the studios of Hits Freak Radio and TV. Stay tuned. Download the tuning app onto your mobile phone today and catch up on all the latest news from Hits Freak Radio. Broadcasting live on Modern Ghana and our website www.hitsafreakradio.org. Hits Freak Radio News Hour live.
Hello, wonderful people. I'm African Jordonia, aka EGD.
Good morning. It's exactly 90.
Hits Freak Radio. Keep it locked.
Good morning. It's exactly 7 o'clock GMT in the studios of Hits Africa Radio. You're tuning in to Hits Africa Radio. We are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at Hits Africa Radio and TV. I'm your uncle this morning, Abena Ahwinie. Let's move on to the news headlines. Driver 28, 112 years jail time for defiling 15-year-old. Man killed for not giving friend palm wine. Rejected Rastafarian students granted scholarship. There is nothing wrong in marrying your cousin. These and many other stories I come your way this morning. Stay tuned as I bring you the news in details. Driver 28, 112-year jail term for defiling 15-year-old. A 28-year-old driver, Isaac Kwame Asante, has been convicted and sentenced to a 12-year imprisonment for defiling a teenager. The victim, 15, is currently pregnant. Facts from the prosecuting officer, Inspector Salifu Kamau Juma, indicated that on the 29th of October 2020, the victim was sent by her mother to buy foodstuff at the Achim Isiakwa market. The accused persons, on seeing the victim at the market, exchanged pleasantries and proposed love to her, but she refused. On the second errand by the victim at Bono taxi rank 2 days later, the accused person, who spotted the victim, asked her to accompany him to buy something nearby. The accused person drove to a nearby guest house, booked a room, and took the victim in. He asked the victim to remove her panties. The victim questioned him and disagreed to his request. The accused person forcibly took off the panties of the victim, pushed her down on the bed, covered her mouth with his hand, and defiled her. He warned her not to inform anyone about the ordeal and assured her she wasn't going to get pregnant because of some vaccines he took to weaken his sperms. A month later, the victim found out she was pregnant and called the accused to inform him before officially informing her mother. The case was reported to the police on Tuesday, March 16th by her 60-year-old father, and a medical report issued out. The medical report confirmed a 20-week and 4-day pregnancy. The accused was arrested at Bonso to assist in investigations. He admitted the offense. He pleaded guilty with the explanation that the victim is his fiancée and the sex was consensual. The Kibi Circuit Court presided over his honor, Peter Opon Aborahene, passed the judgment. Section 1012 of the Criminal Offense Act 29, 1960 makes it an offense to have sex with a child under 16 years, with or without her consent. Moving on to other stories, Gomwa East MP robbed. The Member of Parliament MP for Gomwa East, Mr. Desmond de Graft Kwesi Piato, was robbed last night as his residence. Though the thieves could not enter his bedroom, they managed to escape with 2 perfumes that were in his car. Speaking in an interview with Power FM monitored by SN24 News, the MP explained that he woke up this morning and realized someone had entered his house last night. He then found out that the bugger-proof window has been burgled. According to him, he was lucky he did not leave anything at the hall the night when he had returned home from Parliament. He said the thieves took his car keys from the hall, opened one of his cars, and took away 2 perfumes he had brought on his way. He said this is the first time such an incident had happened when at his new house residence in Kanishi. In other stories, a 57-year-old man drowned 3 days after missing at MIM. A 57-year-old man, Mr. Charles Kwame Inti, popularly known as Alashiagon, has got drowned 3 days after missing. The lifeless body was discovered suspended yesterday afternoon at the Main Water Works River man-made dam, which supply water to the entire township. A friend of the deceased, who works under Forestry Commission Afforestation, fails to mention his name in an interview with Ahafo meme-based Rejoice FM's news reporter, Fatal Husseini, aka Sakrotis. Narrating what happened, said the deceased is married with 6 kids, but divorced his wife and now living lonely. He added, the deceased left home 3 days ago, and all attempts to retrieve his whereabouts by his family and friends yielded to no result, but as quick to add that the deceased had a mental problem. The main police commander, led by Chief Inspector Ajman Beakon, after conveying the body to Guaso Municipal Hospital morgue for autopsy, pending investigation, said they will speak to media after autopsy reports. In other stories, Ghana's swearing-in ceremonies of ministers, MP and President, his vice, must involve a fetish priest. As long as Christians and Muslims are into power, especially Christians, can't never and ever win the battle against corruption in Ghana. I am beginning to believe that the Holy Bible and Quran that we believe as the word of God is never true. And if it is true, then in this our generation, both the Bible and Quran have become powerless, or the God of the spiritual books is dead. When we are swearing in the President of the Republic of Ghana, we use the Holy Bible, that he will be able to protect and be truthful to the people who gave him their power. The cosmetics lands in the malicious lies because he knows the God of the Holy Bible and is not powerful. He can't see and hear. State ministers use the same book, but they are corrupt more than the word corruption. Our lawyers used it at the courtroom, but I can call them intelligent criminals. All these heads of state are always in the churches or mosques. They hold the most respectable positions both in the church or mosques. Christianity and Islamic religions have done no good to African politics, to be precise, Ghana. The only solution we can use to heal the wounds of corruption in Ghana is by allowing our leaders to swear with the gods of our land, the Juju, Anota, Oti, Densu, and Cobra rivers, etc. For if they refuse to fulfill what they vowed, they should live to see the light of the day. We need the involvement of the fetish priest in the swearing in of our leaders, especially the president, MPs, ministers of state, the courts, and other higher institutions in the country. I believe in the gods of our land, says Kweku Bonsa. In other stories, man killed for not giving friend palm wine. A 53-year-old farmer in the Volta region died from gunshot wounds after his colleague got furious over his refusal to give him a calabash of fresh palm wine. According to the reports, the 53-year-old palm wine tapper, Norbert Atafi, was killed at Alavanyo Wudidi in the Volta region during a disagreement over palm wine. The deceased, according to witnesses, was allegedly killed by his colleague when he refused to give him some of his local wine. According to the police, some irate residents physically assaulted the suspect when he was struck down from his hideout. He was later handed over to the Bando police for investigations. Moving on to other stories, unemployed graduates arrested for attempting to steal phone from shops. A 20-year-old unemployed graduate, Eja Esuo, has been arrested for allegedly breaking into Anochek phones and computers accessories belonging to one Mr. Yabua Justice, popularly known as Yapono, at Tichimancha in the Tano South constituency of the Ahafo region. In an interview Express Media Yapono said he got hints from one Osei that Ija Isuo was damaging the wall tried to steal from his shop. According to him, they rushed quick to the scene detected that part of the shop has been damaged. They entered the shop and found Ija Isuo packaged phones valued 10,000 Ghana cedis and 20 Ghana cedis. He was arrested and handed him over to the Techimanshia police. In other stories, rejected Rastafarian students received $6,000 scholarship from top international schools. Achimota rejected Rastafarian students has been offered admissions by 5 schools at a go, with one offering a scholarship of $6,000 annually. Information according to Joy News journalist Kweku Asante states that the student was offered the opportunity after he granted an interview with Joy News. During the interview, the boy showed his analytical and critical level beyond that of just an ordinary Rasta student, showing he can be an asset for any school he attends. In sharing this information, he said, "On the big story I told you about concerning the Rasta students, close to 5 schools, including a reputable international school in Accra, have reached out to the Rastafarian students to offer them admission, including scholarships worth $6,000 every year. On this big story I told you about concerning the Rasta students, close to 5 schools, including a reputable international school in Accra, have reached out to the Rastafarian students." In other African countries of Nigeria, the growing phenomenon of Christian insurgents in the south mark Antonio Perose de Montclós. While Boko Haram monopolizes the attention of politicians and specialists in northern Nigeria, in the south, Christian insurgents are becoming increasingly inspired by the terrorist group method. Nigeria is often portrayed as a country on the front line between a predominantly Muslim north and a predominantly Christian south. From this perspective, observers concerned about religiously motivated violence are mostly preoccupied with Boko Haram's bloody episodes in the Lake Chad region. They are also preoccupied with the issue of terrorism in Africa, that they pay little attention to the insurgents in southern Nigeria, who also claim to be God's followers, when they take up arms. Those nostalgic for the Republic of the Biafra often use religious arguments to justify their rebellion. They have taken up the legacy of the secessionists who, between 1967 and 1970, posed as victims, essentially Catholics, of a genocide committed by Muslims, even though the head of the Nigerian state at the time was Christian. Surrounded by an enemy with a much larger and superior army, who was also being supplied with army by Arab countries. The Igbo of the Biafra region has set their sights not only on Rome, but also on the Holy Land. Since then, some of them have presented themselves as belonging to one of the lost tribes of Israel. For example, Nnamdi Kanu, one of the leaders of the Biafran protests, who was detained by President Muhammadu Buhari government in 2015, says he converted in Judaism while in prison. Others have found a preferring Zionist movement. Generally speaking, protesters of all stripes denouncing the masjids of the ruling Muslims in northern Nigeria have found some resonance within the Igbo diaspora overseas. In fact, they have a global audience on social media and a voice on Biafra. Kanu's pirate radio station with broadcast from the UK. Further south along Nigeria's Atlantic coast, the insurgents fighting the government in the oil-producing areas of the Niger Delta were not left out either. Like the Igbo, some Ijaw in the region have, for example, compared themselves to the Jews who, by following Moses, freed themselves from the chains of slavery, from the yoke of the Muslims in the north in their case. In other stories of South Africa, South Africa, who is behind the pro-Zuma ANC military veterans. Members of the Umkhonto we Military Veterans Association (MKMVA) chant slogans in support of former South African President Jacob Zuma as they attend a public inquiry into statecraft in Johannesburg. Members of the Umkhonto we Military Veterans Association chant slogans in support of former South President Jacob Zuma as they attend a public inquiry into statecraft in Johannesburg, South Africa in July 15, 2019. Concerns have been mounting over attempts by an increasingly militant faction in South Africa's governing African National Congress to mobilize support for former President Jacob Zuma in his efforts to defy the law. A few dozen party members, dressed in camouflage and claiming to be veterans of the ANC's anti-apartheid liberation struggle in its former military wing, Umkhonto we known as MK, have been stationing themselves outside the trance of Zuma's Nkwandla homestead in rural KwaZulu-Natal. Zuma was threatened with arrest after he defied a court order compelling him to testify in front of the state capture inquiry that was set up more than 3 years ago to investigate large-scale state corruption that happened under this watch. A self-proclaimed commander in the Umkhonto we Military Veterans Association (MKMVA), Mduduzi Migse, referred to Zuma by his clan name when he told local television station Newsroom Africa, "We are here peacefully to ensure that Msholozi's rights are not violated." The group is also opposed by President Cyril Ramaphosa's leadership of the ANC and of the country. One of the most prominent Zuma supporters, an MKMVA spokesperson, Struggle Tawat Carl Newhouse, was once Nelson Mandela's spokesperson, but years later got stuck by the ANC for lying about his mother's death to escape repaying a loan. He has been very vocal about the group's aims, his statements very militant, threatening that any attempt to arrest Zuma will lead to massive instability that will not be in the interest of the country. In other stories, Kenya Ruto holds cards close to his chest with very few trusted allies. Kenyan Deputy President William Ruto in Nairobi, Kenya, October 17, 2017, depending on whom you ask. Kenya's Deputy President William Ruto is either a meticulous hands-on manager and a sticker to the minute details, or a raving control freak who does not delegate. Either way, friends and foes are all Ruto in a workaholic and diligent to a fault. Due to this personality, it is little wonder his inner circle is very small. He is also not known to suffer fools gladly, and hence does not keep friends or associates for long. It is either his way or the highway. Ruto does not keep friends for long. He expects unquestioning loyalty, but does not give back same kind of loyalty. Either you are serving interest or you are gone, said friend Kipritani, who has known Ruto since the 1990s when they both were officials of YK92. According to Kipritani, Ruto was an expert in use and dump and always fights everyone who was help him ascend to a position. The only people who stay in his circle are the sycophants, he said. There are, however, a select few individuals who have kept by his side throughout his entire political career. Some have been with him since school days. Probably the longest-serving associate of Ruto is businessman Silas Simotu, who has been Ruto's longtime friend and business associate since their high school days in the 1980s. They have become family friends. Yeah, that's the end of the local story. Stay tuned as I bring you the foreign news.
You're listening to Hits Africa Radio. Keep it locked. You're listening to Hits Africa Radio. Keep it locked.
You're still logged on to www.hitsafricaradio.org. We are streaming live on Facebook at Hits Africa Radio and TV. Let's do some foreign stories. In North Korea claims new tactical guided missiles launched. It was the country's first ballistic launch in almost a year and the first since Joe Biden became U.S. president. Mr. Biden has said the U.S. will respond accordingly. The U.S., Japan, and South Korea have condemned the tests. Under UN Security Council resolutions, Pyongyang is banned from testing ballistic missiles. North Korea's Friday statement says the two weapons struck a test target 600 kilometers, 373 miles, off North Korea's east coast, disputing Japanese assessment that they flew just over 400 kilometers. The development of this weapon system is of great significance in bolstering up the military power of the country and deterring all sorts of military threats. Repoint Cho, the senior leader who oversaw the test, said according to the North Korean release, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un was not present. According to Pyongyang, the new missile is able to carry a payload of 2.5 tons, which would make it capable of carrying a nuclear warhead. Analysis box by Laura Baker, World Correspondent. There is no easy answer to this. First, because they can and Pyongyang has new weapons to try out. But the recent messages warning the United States not to cause a stink and that the Biden administration would pay a price would suggest the North is making a point. South Korea's spy agency said it believed North Korea had timed the missile launch ahead of President Biden's press conference. It was claimed that Pyongyang was protesting against the extradition of its citizen, Mancho Miang of Malaysia, to the U.S. and the recent UN Human Rights Council resolutions against North Korea. Whatever the reason, the message North Korea is sending is the world is very difficult, the message it's sending its people. The front page of the state newspaper showed Kim Jong-un checking out newspaper buses not supervising the test of new missiles. Mr. Kim is flexing his military muscles for the world by trying to portray an image of economic reformer to his people. Mr. Biden told reporters that the launch was a violation of UN resolutions and that the US consulting with partners and allies. There will be responses if they choose to escalate. We will respond accordingly, he said. But I am also prepared for some form of diplomacy, but it has to be conditioned upon the end of resort, denuclearization. It remains unclear what exact type of missile the North Koreans have launched. State media outlet KCNA said it had an improved version of a solid fuel engine and was capable of low-altitude, gliding leap type flight mode. In other stories, coronavirus, EU AstraZeneca must catch up on vaccine. The vaccine producer AstraZeneca must catch up on its promised deliveries to the EU before exporting doses elsewhere, the bloc's chief has said. The company has to honor the contract it has with member states, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said on Thursday evening. She spoke after EU leaders held a summit to discuss vaccine supplies. Meanwhile, French President Emmanuel Macron told reporters this marked the end of naivety from the EU. Vaccine rollout in European Union states have started sluggishly, and the bloc has become pharmaceutical companies, primarily AstraZeneca, for not delivering promised doses. AstraZeneca has denied that it is failing to honor its contracts. I think it is clear that first of all the company has to catch up, Mrs. von der Leyen told a news conference after the virtual leaders conference. With vaccine supplies still low and COVID infection rates soaring in much of mainland Europe, EU leaders wanted to be seen to be taking action at their summit. But they stopped short and explicitly backing controversial proposals by the European Commission to expand vaccine exports that could have applied to the UK. The tougher restrictions are now at EU leaders' disposal. But in practice, leader after leader has said they would rather not use them. Belgium Prime Minister Alexander De Croo described them as option of last resort. The German Chancellor Angela Merkel said it was important to protect global supply chains. Meanwhile, Mark Rutte, the Dutch Prime Minister, said an agreement with the UK over companies of AstraZeneca jabs produced at a site in the Netherlands could be announced this weekend. Following the virtual summit, the EU's 27 member states agreed to try and ramp on the production of vaccines within the bloc. Accelerating the production, delivery and deployment of vaccines remains essential and urgent to overcome the crisis. Efforts to this end must be further intensified, they said in a joint statement. We underline the importance of transparency as well as of the use of export authorizations, they added. The EU also called on vaccine manufacturers to ensure predictability of their vaccine production and respect contractual delivery deadlines. Here lies the end of the foreign story. Stay tuned as I bring you the entertainment news this morning.
The News Hour, coming to you live from the studios of Hits Freak Radio and TV. Stay tuned.
You're still logged on to Hits Freak Radio. You're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at Hits Freak Radio and TV. My name is Abena Ahwinie. Now let's do some entertainment news. Shitawale is the biggest Ghanaian music star in Germany, DJ Legion. German-based Binios disc jockey Tarek Sato has revealed that reggae and dancehall artist Shatawale is very known in Germany. According to the DJ, Shatawale's songs often gain much airplay over the past years and continue to be popular, especially within Ghanaian communities in Germany. We know that dancehall music is very big in the world, and whenever I play at nightclubs, Shatawale's songs that create a vibe among music fans and people do listen to his music a lot. Shatawale has had some good collaboration with some top dancehall worldwide acts over the past years, and I believe it has helped build his presence on the international market, and I will urge other Ghanaian artists to do the same, he said in an interview. He added that Stone Boy, who was also equally good songs, is known in Germany, but not that popular like Shatawale. Known in real life as Tarek Sato, DJ Lengan is one of the biggest Benin DJ in Germany, having won numerous awards over the years. Moving on to our next story, there is nothing wrong in marrying your cousin, Ras Mubarak reviews. Former Member of Parliament for Kumbugu, Ras Mubarak, has shockingly disclosed that his first wife, Rashid Adams, is his cousin, but they still got married. Speaking in an interview with Nana Abba Anamwa on Star FM, Ras revealed that he got married to his cousin. Nana Abba Anamwa, who was in shock, seemed very surprised because Muntaka happened to be the uncle of Ras Mubarak and Ras got married to his daughter. She asked, "How are you married to your cousin? Isn't that incest?" Ras Mubarak responded saying, "My goodness, that's no incest. Incest is when you are marrying your direct siblings." According to him, He is a Dagomba and they are allowed to marry their cousins. Here lies the end of the news this morning. Stay tuned as I bring you a recap of today's news. You're still logged on to www.hitsafricradio.org. We are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at Hits Africa Radio and TV. Now let's do a recap of today's stories. Driver 28 handed 12 years jail term for defiling 15-year-old girl. Man killed for not giving friend palm wine. Rejected Rastafarian students granted scholarship of $6,000 yearly. There is nothing wrong in marrying your cousin. These are many other stories I brought your way this morning. My name is Abena Ahwinie. Stay tuned on Hits Africa Radio and TV for more entertainment and music.